My name is Emma Hamill. I'm Marketing Associate here at Training Industry, and I'm so excited you could be with us today. Before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping items to help you get the most out of our program today. Throughout the event, keep your chat window open to interact with the speakers and other attendees. And if you have specific questions for our speakers, you can submit those by clicking on the Q&A icon in the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. At the end of the event, a quick survey will pop up in your browser. Please complete that survey so we can use your feedback to improve our events in the future. And as always, we always record all of our sessions, and you will receive a follow-up email after the event with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first Training Industry event, we'd like to welcome you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development leaders. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D through live events like today's event, as well as through articles on our website, magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcast. You can visit trainingindustry.com to learn more. And now, without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our speakers, Matt and Evan. Evan is the Director of Global Demo Hub at Litmos with deep expertise in solutions engineering. And Mark Blakemore is a Senior Solutions Consultant with over 7 years of experience at Litmos. We're so excited to have you with us today. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Emma. Yep, for those who have never seen me before, my name is Mark Blakemore. I've been with Litmos for coming up to 8 years. It's my hopefully job today to walk you through the Litmos platform in some more detail and then focusing on 2 areas, which will be content creation and some exclusives on our AI assistant. Please feel free to pop any questions in the chat. If it makes sense for Evan to pause me in my flow to answer it there, we can do, or Evan can pick it up potentially in the chat, but we hopefully will have time for a Q&A as we get towards the end of the session. But I think we can jump straight into it. So I'm going to just start sharing my screen. Perfect. So Evan, I can see your face. So I'll just get a quick thumbs up if you can see the instance that I'm showing. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the learner part of the application first, because what I've done today is I've built a course using our content authoring tool to showcase Lenny. Now, for those of you who don't know Lenny, he is our mascot, and I thought it would be good to put into practice our content authoring tool to tell you a little bit more about him, because there is some interesting facts here. But the idea is I want to showcase some of the components inside the content authoring tool so you can understand exactly what content that you will be able to create. So as you can see, as a learner, it was nice and easy to gain access to the training, around about 2 to 3 clicks in total. And then what we can do here is to start to walk through what I built a little bit earlier. Now, I'm not going to read everything that you see on the screen, so please feel free to continue checking this as I go through. But the idea was bringing in some of the components here, so what you'd expect to see really, some text with heading underneath. We had a little bit of a timeline of fun facts about Lenny before bringing in a resource directly from YouTube. Hit play on that.
Hey there, this is Lenny, the Litmos mascot, and I'm here to welcome you to Litmos. We develop learning solutions for the world's best performing companies. The Solution Suite is a powerful but easy to use LMS, comprehensive course libraries, integration into top workflow tools, and services to support your success.
I'll pause that there. You can see the full 2 minutes on YouTube, so please feel free to direct yourself after the webinar today. But as we work through the actual course itself, just revealing some of the other options that you'll have as we create the training. So in the admin view, which we'll switch to after we finish going through the course, I'm going to open this up and show you how we got to the result. But bringing in a quote from our channel here, before revealing some of the other components that you'll have the ability to edit inside the tool, such as the flip cards. So if you're interested in any of Lenny's interests or aliases, well, they're just coming up on screen. Now, I've been with Litmos for, as I mentioned earlier, 8 years. And during that period, I've seen Lenny change from the green, which you see here back in 2007. And then we had a slight brand change in 2011 as we were going in through the Calidus Cloud days, before a rebrand in 2018 under SAP Litmos, before finally the newest and latest Litmos logo, which you can see here when we were joined in the Francisco Partners portfolio. So this is the sign which you can see in mine and Evan's virtual backgrounds. And a fun knowledge check for those in the chat, feel free to answer it in there now before I answer the question. But is Lenny's surname Litmos spelled backwards? Now, this is a true or false question. And if you were quick enough to read it as I was saying it out loud, you may have just realized that for the first time. It was around about 2 years ago, I actually figured it out as well. So it wasn't something that I was made aware of initially. Probably should have known that really, but just an example of what you can build into the training, as well as being able to link out to resources. So as your learners are completing training, you may wish to open them up to maybe the course was a PowerPoint originally. Hopefully, if you do decide to partner with Litmos, you've created it into a more engaging course, but you can still make that available for download as they complete the training. And if you would like to see a form of accountability, well, you can include that at the end of the training as well, just so that you can validate the learner is ready to move on. Now, if there's been any questions about anything that you've seen here so far, please pop them in the chat as we're going through. Like I say, I will pause. Evan, has there been anything in the chat as of yet?
Not just yet.
Perfect. I'm sure there will be some questions firing through in just a moment. Where we're going to go to next is the admin experience. So typically with Litmos, I would break it out into 3 main areas or 3 main pillars. If we think about the LMS, we've got our content, the global library, we have our people, and we have our teams. Now we're going to focus on the global library today. And what we're going to talk to is how to get your content inside of Litmos, how to create the content, as well as the content authoring course that I mentioned a little bit earlier. We're going to open that up and see exactly how we made it. But to start off, if we think about adding any content into the platform, you may have some materials that you'd like to include. These could be the PowerPoints or the PDFs that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Nice and easy to get them in as a module type. It's a simple exercise. It's just a drag and drop or a lift and shift, if you like, and that will populate the training into the course here. You may wish to create some of the modules from scratch though, and before the content authoring tool came out, we do have our native options for creating content, whether that be just a quick assessment. You might want to add a survey into the courses to figure out maybe feedback on the potential training. Some of the other ones of note that's worth mentioning at this stage, you can also include your live sessions or your instructor-led training modules here at a course level, or if the question to the learner is for them to potentially upload the answer, then you've got all of the capabilities here. Where we are going to open up next is the content authoring course. Now, as I mentioned, this was something that I built to showcase today, so I think it makes sense now to show you how we get to that result. I'm quite confident that if you've created a PowerPoint, that you would be able to create courses within Litmos, because you don't need to be an instructional designer. And if you've created a PowerPoint, if you haven't, I don't know where you've been hiding for so long, but you've probably viewed one. And the reason I mention it is because instead of it being slide by slide, it's page by page. So you can actually have a little bit of a preview of the page before you decide to create it. Because if you know that the page includes potentially, a video or a quiz, and you just want for speed to get straight into it, we have the pre-built templates to help do exactly that. What I'm going to do next is open up the page which we were looking at a little bit earlier. So to start off, we had the cover image displayed. Now what you'll be able to do is, bring in your own imagery, of course. You might want to make this a color instead, but it's really easy for you to work through the options, because all you need to do is to select what changes you'd like to make before we start to get into the body of the information, which we were looking at a little bit earlier. So if we think about what we were referring to as a storyteller, this is anything in blue here. So potentially you might wish to have a little bit of a preview of the option before you added it, but you could probably guess with the option here that the first one was text with heading before we moved on to the list. And it's really easy to make these changes in the platform, because if you know that you're looking to use the text with heading, that's the option that you'll select. All you need to do at this point is simply type in the answer, type in the selection for the text. Now, when I was a mentor, I always advise that you've probably got a lot of great information that exists already written out in the PowerPoints, in the PDFs, in the resources that you're potentially using to deliver the training. So it's a great opportunity to use that almost like a first draft, because a lot of that information could just easily be copy and pasted over, changing anything which is more relevant for the new course that you're trying to create, which is more engaging. But there's still a lot of good, useful information in there, so you can use that as a perfect draft for speed of deployment when it comes to creating this training. Now, you'll notice we included a YouTube link. So in terms of how easy it is to bring the resources together, all we need is the ID here, which you can paste straight over. And then you've got a couple of options when it comes to watching the videos, because you might decide that no, you need to see 100% of the video. You cannot move past the video. It's required that you must watch it. And then the chances are you'll open up the next page where it could lead to a question. Now, for today's demonstration, I've just decided to build it all in one page, just because it flows a little bit quicker. Now, the flip cards, which we revealed a little bit earlier, there is a whole host of media types. Actually, just jumping back to that, I do want to open up a little bit more in the different types of media that you've got available. It's not just YouTube. If you do have a presence on Vimeo, you might have the video actually on the desktop or in the cloud. You can simply upload them into the platform, as well as using any existing materials potentially from your websites to pull directly into the training. Now, before I just jumped ahead, I was just about to say, to make the content more engaging, what you'll have the ability to do is include components such as the flip cards. Now, there are more than that, so what I'll do is I'll just bring them up on screen so you can see. But some of the ones you're probably familiar with, the accordion view gives you the ability to click the title and then decide what's behind it. And that's exactly what we've done with the flip card. So the first image you've seen was Lenny, the call to action was the click, and then after we clicked it, it's going to present the information that we build behind it. Now, if you notice, this is a constant throughout the creation of the content authoring tool. So it's very easy to familiarize yourself with how to use the tool, but more importantly, simple to build. Because if you wanted a picture to display with some text with heading underneath it, as I say, all you need to do is to bring all that information together to then build out the component that we've mentioned in that flip card.
Hey, Mark.
Oh, yes, Evan?
Sorry to pause you there. We've had some questions pop up in the chat. If you don't mind just pausing to answer some of these real quick. The first one is around, just while we're still in the content area, is adding content from other LMS platforms like Rise or Storyline into Litmos.
Yeah. So this would be, I'm just going to jump back, because what you would do there is you would need to export the SCORM file and then just drag and drop it into here. Simple exercise for you to do, and that will then enable you to view your Rise or your Articulate content, anything which is in SCORM 1.2 preferably, that will be able to be uploaded into the platform. I hope that answered that okay. Please let me know if it didn't.
Yeah, perfect. So you can import all that SCORM content exported from other platforms. Another question that came up was around templates. So can you make templates for various resources? For example, like a template survey, you can easily add to different courses, so you don't have to recreate the survey for each course.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I wonder if I can show that in my demo instance. When you're creating the resources that you see here, so the assessment, the surveys, these are modules that you will be able to browse. So I may have a survey already created elsewhere. As you can see, there's quite a few marked tests. But yes, that would have been one survey created, which you can then add at the course level as an additional module, so you wouldn't need to keep recreating them. Hope
Perfect.
that
Thank you.
that. Please let me know if it didn't. Happy to take anything that we don't get to answer today offline as well. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and keep asking more questions there for sure. Was there anything else, Evan?
Do you have the ability to track attendance for instructor-led courses? Sorry, getting a little off course here.
No, it's fine. That can happen. Yes, absolutely. Without going into it with too much detail, our powerful reporting engine gives you the ability to do exactly that. So the reporting engine option, we were referring to instructor-led training, depending on whether it was a self-register session, depending on whether it was a mandatory delivered session, you can run those reports here so you can see who attended. Maybe it was a module that required a pass rate, and that is all collated into the platform after the session finishes by the instructor, so it then can be all reported in one central place. So the answer is yes, you can report on attendance and registrations.
And then last one around reporting, can you see what content learners are discovering on their own versus content that's assigned to them or tasked to them?
Yeah, it's a good question. And the best report for that's typically going to be the course user results. Now, what I'll have to do is take that one offline. So please, Evan, make a note of who asked that question, because I'm just going to figure out what's the best way to extract that. Because at the moment, the reporting options will be for the courses that the user has completed. I'll need to check if there's an option to see whether it was mandatory or optional. So that's a really good question. That's one I've not been asked before. So thank you for asking. Is there any more, Evan?
There were some around AI, so I think you were about to show some of that a little bit later in the demo. So sorry to distract you there.
No, it's all good. It keeps it all fresh. It'll lead into where we're going to eventually end the demonstration. So I'm sure more questions will come up during that. The only part left out really to add into what we were discussing earlier about our content authoring tool is it also gives you the ability, after you've finished creating, the option to preview it across all of the different devices. And what we mean by that is when you're creating the content, you want to be reassured that when you're assigning it to your users, whether it's being accessed via the mobile app, whether it's being accessed through the tablets, or as we demonstrated, through the desktop, it's dynamic based on the resolution of the screen size you're viewing it from, so that all you've got left to do really is publish it directly into the platform for your users to take, or potentially export that out. Because if you do have any other SCORM playing capability software, you can just upload that straight into those systems as well as keeping it inside of the platform, and there's no charge for exporting your SCORM. Where we can jump to next, though, will be our AI content creation piece. So a little bit of news straight off the bat there. But before we do that, I think it's worthwhile just putting this out to everybody in the chat. Are you using AI to support your efforts in content creation? And I'll just pause so that you can pop that in there. Has any of them trickled through yet, Evan?
Yes, they are. We've got some not yet, some yeses daily, not currently, every single day, and not yet, somewhat yes. So a whole bunch of answers. Pretty mixed.
Everyone's at different stages. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what we can do then is we can speak about the AI content creation that we're working towards. On the last webinar, it was mainly aimed at how the AI assistant can serve the learner. But where we're going to add to that now is the outline of the content creation through our AI tool. So the AI content author will be added for quick actions in the global library. Now, the user can decide whether to use the AI assist, which is typically where you will prompt our AI assistant to create the course based on what you enter. And as always, the more description you add, the better the quality of the answer will be. Or potentially, like a lot of you may already be doing now, is uploading the PDF or the PowerPoint, dropping that in to then create the course based on the information included in those documents. Now you'll notice it's being created in our content authoring tool. So what we were going through a little bit earlier gives you the idea of how the AI tool can be creating content in that format for then you to go in and potentially make those changes. Because as you can understand, there will be an aspect of QA to be had, quality assurance to make that answer is showing correctly. And what we also would advise is you've got the ability to keep the answer, regenerate it. You might want to just type in and modify some of it because, again, based on the generated text, you probably still want to have some control before it goes out to your users. And there's going to be options where you may want the AI tool to give you a shorter answer in case it gives you a little bit more information than you were hoping for, maybe to simplify it to make it easier to understand, or potentially where it's giving you a shorter answer, you'd like to expand on that, make it a bit longer, or potentially more casual in terms of the language used. So plenty of options when it comes to creating the actual content itself through the AI assistant. Evan, have you got anything that you potentially like to add at this stage, or is it if there's anything that's potentially been asked in the chat?
Yeah, specifically to AI, is the authoring tool, which seems interesting, is it built into the LMS platform?
Yes. So the content authoring tool is actually a product that we have in-house, and we've decided to attach it to the platform itself. So in the features of the Litmos platform, the content authoring tool is made available for you to create your own SCORM training and export it. So yes, it is included in the platform. So you can see the benefits when the AI assistant comes out to help create that AI content. It's also using the content authoring tool for you then to keep that training forever.
Yeah, perfect. And does the AI help you to write the actual content itself?
So that's probably where we were referring to this part here, where you can prompt it to generate the course. So what you do here is, depending on what the course that you're looking to create, give it a description. If it is, a fresh idea and you just wanted to pop it in as a prompt, you can see there's links to, new hire training, HR compliance. So depending on how much prompting you give the AI tool, the better the course it will be able to create for you. So yes, you can have it created from scratch just based on the prompts that you enter here. Was there any others?
About AI, no, that's pretty good. Thanks.
Perfect. Well, I think we can move on to, why Litmos. So it's one platform for your entire organization. We support your employees, partners, and customers, whether it's the internal use case or the external use case. The Litmos solution can hopefully be the right one for yourselves. We've got tons of content. We have a content team here which is built over 2,500 courses on compliance and soft skills, and all of this is updated. And we also have our partnership with Go1 where they have tons and tons of content. I think it's around 80,000 in total. So when it comes to content, we've got you covered as well. If you wanted to use your own, not a problem. You can just upload that into the platform, or hopefully, after getting a little bit excited about our AI assistant, it could be the AI assistant that's building that content for yourselves. I think we can jump into the QA with the time that we've got remaining. So opening it up to the floor, is there anything that you'd like to know more about? It might be stuff that we've not covered in today's session. I'm quite open to where we go next.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions coming in here in the Q&A portion. So the first one up, I would like to understand more about role segmentation and assignment in Litmos since the change to the main navigation.
Just for a bit of more context, then, is that regarding the admin roles or is that to do with assignment? Can you just read that out again? Sorry, Evan.
Yeah, I think this is more on, it was just, I would like to understand more about role segmentation and assignments in Litmos. specifically around the navigation, but I think more around segmentation and assignments in Litmos.
Yeah, okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, first of all, starting with the roles, we are about to include a update to our roles and permissions whereby they can be customized. But to explain what we currently have, there are 5 roles in the system, and it starts off everybody's a learner, of course. And then what we have enabled is the ability to change what it means to be a team lead or a team admin, because you potentially might only want them to have certain parts of the platform available, whether they just need to do reporting and nothing else. And then the step up from that might well be that in their team that they're looking after, they can do password resets, potentially create sub teams if it's the head of the department, potentially, or even the assignment of courses. And then we have administrators and account owners, where the main difference really is administrators can't delete account owners and they don't get access to the features page. Now, what we've included in the update, which is just coming up, is custom roles. So this is due to change for the better, because what you'll be able to do is if you only want to give them access like an admin to, the content author, you don't want them to see anything else, then you will be able to create the custom role, give it the title content creator, and then they will only be able to access that part. So I think that covers off the part of roles. And the second part, Evan, was the assignment of training, was it?
Yeah, it was role segmentation and assignment in Litmos.
So with regards to the assign, we have a feature in itself called Litmos Assign. And what this is almost like a rule-based or a logic-based system where you can pick up all the parameters on the profile of that user. So you can see here, it's going email right through to job role. Now, where it's HR number, department, people leader, company, and then you see it goes from field 5 to 11, they can be your own custom fields that you import data on your learners to potentially help decide the assignment of training. A quick and easy rule to show would be, if somebody's new to the system, this is thinking about your onboarding. The unique identifier for anybody who's new would be the created date. So if they were live with Litmos greater than today's date, and I hope that happens for you all soon and you all become partners of the system, you would add this in so that when a new user is added, it's greater than today's date. The action will be to assign the induction learning path, and the induction learning path can have all of their enablement on maybe how to navigate the system or any training that they're expected to complete in the first week. And then all you need to do is to set a frequency, potentially every day, and that will run to look for new users to assign them the induction learning path. Alternatively, you may want to decide which training needs to be assigned based on the team that they belong to. So potentially here you could set up a structure, whether it is for the internal users where the training, because you belong to that team, will be added to their profile. I hope that answered that okay. And if I've misunderstood, it's probably because it's a little bit later in the UK and the rain's not stopped all day. You'll be glad to know. But I hope that answered that fine for you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So we also have a follow-up to Frank's original question of can you see what content learners are discovering on their own versus assigned tasks out to them? He also asked, can you exclude some of the content that doesn't align with the business? So I think segmenting different content for different customers and excluding some.
So this is the screen which I would recommend, to be honest, because it might well be that the training's targeted based on what team you belong to. So a great example of that would be, if we think about potentially, HR. So it could be a global team. There's certain training which you wouldn't want the UK team seeing from a US perspective and vice versa. So what you can have at a team level is mandatory training, which is what you're going to see here for the courses and learning paths. So because I belong to this team, this is the training I'm expected to complete. You can also add additional courses to their library for them to self-serve, maybe from an upskilling or a reskilling perspective. But the idea being is you might not want to overwhelm their library with courses which aren't relevant, because as you can imagine, there's certain training which isn't relevant for the US team because the legislation is different. So you can base it on which team that they belong to, or using the Litmos Assign tool to put that training on their platform. You can also decide which content is available from a default library perspective. You might want to make certain courses available for everyone in the business, but you can switch the courses off that you don't want them to see based on your choices in the admin settings in here.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Mark. I did see, I think earlier, sorry, it's a little, there's a lot coming in the chat, but I think a question that came up a lot is, and I apologize if we did answer this already, is the content author tool built right into the LMS?
Yeah, so maybe it's best to show in the features section. So the content author is included in the features. All that you require to do is to switch on, of course, and promote the users who will be able to access that tool, because you might not want to make it available to everyone. You might only want certain users to be able to access it. So first of all, enable it. Second of all, promote them to be able to author content.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. I know there's a couple other questions. Looks like we might be out of time, though, unfortunately. So we'll reach out to anyone that we didn't answer their question directly here.
Yeah. Please feel free to continue this conversation on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, guys. This was awesome. All right. So we're going to be taking a 15-minute break, and up next we have iSpring with their session Building Community, Enhancing Social Learning through iSpring Learn LMS. In just a moment, you're going to get a survey that's going to pop up. Please complete that survey so we can improve our events in the future. And when I end this session, you can join the next one by returning to the event lobby and clicking on the Sessions tab. So please stick around. We'll see you in our next session. That'll begin in about 15 minutes. Thanks, y'all.